You are listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report podcast number 238.2, 5 questions that need answers with Will Retherford. This week, Will will pick this or that about the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball, IndyCar, and the WNBA.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengelt.
Welcome back, Will. And I forgot to mention that Michelle Garman of the Tipton Tribune and Elwood Call Leader is here with us, which is probably the most important thing.
Goats in the building. We're good.
That's right.
We're good this evening.
That's right. And we have 5 topics tonight. Will's going to say this or that. I could explain it to you, but we're just going to get right to it, and it'll be self-explanatory. Question number 1 is about the Colts in the NFL draft. Let's assume that the Colts are targeting a tight end, as a lot of people do assume, although I haven't directly heard it from them. Would you, if these are the 2 choices, trade up to get Tyler Warren or stand pat to take Colston Loveland?
I would stand pat and take Colston Loveland. I said it last week. I think that if you look at his tape and what he does in college as far as the seam, controlling the seam and stuff, I think that he's honestly probably a better fit this year for Richardson. I think while Warren is probably a little bit more explosive, a little more yak, if that makes sense for a tight end, probably a little bit more similar to a Travis Kelce, whereas Loveland's probably a little closer to a George Kittle. I think that you watch Penn State's tape last year and you see Penn State really, getting Warren open, calling plays, designing plays and stuff for him. I think that's great. I just don't think that's what Shane Steichen is ready to do this year. Now, if Warren's there at 14, I don't think there's a scenario the Colts don't take him. But I don't think that if I'm the Colts, I feel pretty happy with the consolation prize to not give up capital. Let's be honest, the Colts are, as a franchise and a team, are not in a position to really be giving away draft picks this year. They've got a lot of holes they need to fill, and I don't think giving up a 3rd or 4th to jump up 5 spots is worth it this year. I think that you stand pat, you take Loveland, and you get a better blocking tight end, and you get somebody that I think fits into what Richardson's able to do a little better.
I'll tell you this. I'll take Loveland over Warren at any position. I saw him play, and
A lot of experts agree with you.
I mean, I just like him. He finds ways to get open, and I am gonna say Warren was good for Penn State, but if you look at him, I'm a little concerned about weight and shape and staying in, and at the NFL level. I like Loveland. I think he's a bigger target. I look at him and I kind of think that maybe he could kind of have a career kind of like Tucker Kraft. I think, I'm not so sure Packers didn't get the steal of the tight end in that draft the way he has. I just think Loveland maybe is a situation where, because if you look at having to play with like different quarterback and different things, I think that he can adjust maybe better. I think maybe Warren may be more of a system guy. And I think right now with the Colts, they still don't even really know what they're going to do at quarterback. Let's be honest.
They know what they're doing.
They are, but they don't know what they're going to do next year.
Yeah, they know what they're doing this year.
Yeah, but they don't. And it depends on what happens to them somewhere if they bring in somebody younger. But for the future, so you want to get. I think you want to get a tight end that is just really good and multifaceted. Before last week, I probably would have said I was on Team Warren all the way, and then I watched the tape and I said I think Loveland's a better fit for what this Colt offense wants to do. I think if somebody to me where Tyler Warren would fit in like a glove would be Denver. And I know that they're back at 21. They have no chance of getting them. And they signed Evan Ingram, who kind of fits that joker back a little bit, kind of like Warren. That'd been perfect. Because Sean Payton, with what he's established with Bo Nix, that is a franchise that is in the position, hey, Tyler Warren probably makes our team take that next step next year. I don't think he does that for the Colts. And like you said, the Colts say they know what they're doing. In fact, I won't turn a game on if Daniel Jones is the quarterback. I refuse to watch. It's pointless. It's in no way, shape, or form is Daniel Jones a better quarterback than Anthony Richardson. I stand firm in that. I think that
I mean, I'm still a huge believer in AR. I think that he can have a great career. I think he's just too athletic, and he's just young. And I just think that in this generation of quarterback, you're seeing all these quarterbacks come out. That fifth year's making a big difference.
I sure want him to be the guy.
Well,
yeah, I want him to be the guy. I
think Richardson may have a good career 3 years down the road if he doesn't stay with the Colts and he goes to the system and he gets to sit back and learn. I mean, he should have never been plugged in as a starter. And truthfully, I think the Colts felt like, because it's gotten wacky. All these teams out there are wacky, thinking they've got to have a quarterback, and they're chasing who they think is the best in that thing, but not necessarily a franchise builder. I mean, the Colts got lucky getting Peyton and Luck.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
And like they did.
To transition basically from Peyton to Luck, and
but Richardson wasn't that guy. Was not NFL ready. That's what they needed, and he wasn't.
I think he's just too athletic not to fit. I mean, if he just completes 60% of his passes, I don't even know if he has to complete that many. If he can hover in the 58 to 60 range and run the ball the way he does, he's such a difference maker. I mean,
plus he can throw the ball farther than anyone in the NFL.
But there's more than that. It's up here in the studying and really wanting to put the time in. I mean, I don't think people realize.
Say he does that.
Well, and I've also heard that he doesn't necessarily.
I still firmly believe that Shane Steichen was brought in to turn Anthony Richardson into what he wanted to, and up to this point, he's failed that test.
Yes, he has.
He hasn't succeeded in that.
We can say that for sure.
And that is why this is the bucking year for both him and Ballard, because Ballard's future with the Colts was always tied to Richardson, and for the most part, really Steichen's was too, whether you want to say or not. And they just need AR to be good for their job's sake. And I mean, I think that when he came back, I mean, the pundits can say what they want. He looked the mold when he came back from the benching. He looked a lot better. He was leading game-winning drives, and I get it. They're against teams that aren't great, but let's also be honest and say the Colts were not a great team last year either.
No, they're not. I mean that it was. He just was not in it. That's the only bad thing. He was not NFL ready at the time, and I just think that and because of his lack of experience, he wasn't going to be NFL ready the next year either. I mean, look, Patrick Mahomes, as good as he wasn't the starter when he came in. Alex Smith, and he'll tell you, I mean, he got hurt, but he'll tell you, learning with Alex Smith was huge for him.
Yeah, I mean,
and he says that. And Richardson had nobody to do that with.
No, he didn't. I mean,
the Colts, they took a guy. It's the first. This is why, and I'm not. This is why I'm not a big Ballard fan. Of course, when he's laughing in the draft room, going, "We got to steal the draft in the defensive end," and what? He probably was last in the league in sacks for his position and being drafted at that stage.
He's gonna be better. He's gonna be better than you think. He can.
He's never gonna be an All-Pro to be taken at where he was taken. That was a reach. Ballard's ego is his biggest problem. It really is. He's had a chance. And if the Colts don't make the playoffs this year, in fact, if they're not in the hunt midway through the season, I hope Irsay just boots him out the door then. I would have no patience for him.
It's time for Peyton Manning.
I'll agree with everything you said, other than I think you've watched football long enough to know that D-ends and D-linemen don't come in right away and make. I mean, J.J. Watts is the best defensive player of his generation.
Lawrence Taylor. I mean, do we not remember Lawrence Taylor?
He was different.
I mean, that's how Ballard tried to make this guy sound like he was the next coming of Lawrence Taylor.
You're always going to talk your guy up. You're always going to talk your guy up.
Oh, but in the draft room that night, he didn't need to. He was putting on a show, and it came back to bite his ass. Oh, excuse me.
You're fine. I think that Latu will figure it out.
I don't think Latu will ever be able to stay healthy to figure it out.
I
just don't get why you take a guy, and I'll say this, and then we can go back on top. Why you take a guy with that kind of, like, the injury history and the problems he has at that position in the draft. Nobody else was going to take him that high.
Where was his? Where was the injury that last year? I mean, his issue last year was that Gus didn't put him on the field. I mean, that was his issue last year.
But I don't know that he would have stayed healthy.
The problem, and we can. I'll say this. I mean, I'll put my money where my mouth is and say that the Colts offense wasn't geared for Latu to be successful last year. What a player like Latu, he needs an offense that goes and jumps out to a 14-0 lead. Pin your ears back. Go get the quarterback.
I don't know. I thought the Packers had a great rookie in there that put pressure on the quarterback and then the things. I'm sorry.
What did their offense
but he
do?
didn't go higher than Latu, did he?
But where did their offense
But their offense, you got to remember, their offense wasn't super, because Love started out and he was injured. Now, granted, they brought in, he did all right when he came in. But I just don't. It'll be interesting to see what Ballard does, because that's the thing. I don't trust him in the draft room. To be honest, I don't trust. That's why when people want to sit there and say tendencies, I don't think you can. Because
I think we all understand that.
I don't disagree with that. I'm just saying watch if the Colts are able to jump out to leads next year, Latu have 12+ sacks. That's their problem. They're playing from behind the entire game. The other team's running the entire time. He's not a run defender.
He'll have 8 or under.
And we will have a ton of Colts and NFL stuff all week next week as the NFL draft approaches. Is it a week and a half away now?
It'd be Thursday evening.
Wow.
First round Thursday evening. Green Bay.
Titletown,
yes.
USA.
From Lambeau Field.
All right, so we will have a ton of Colts commentary, NFL commentary. We'll probably have Will on some. We'll have Michelle on some. We'll have Eli Edwards, our Colts guy. We'll have Grant Schaus on to talk. Next week is going to be NFL draft week as well as NBA playoff week. And we'll be talking NBA. We'll be talking Pacers Bucks with Will and Michelle and Mike Rich. And we'll all be making our first round predictions in the NBA playoffs. Well, question 1B, what do the Colts need to do later in the draft?
Linebacker at second round. Got to be. Best linebacker available. You got to shore up that. I think that the way the secondary is shaping up, the way the defensive line is played, I think they're linebackers away from a good an average to good defense. I don't think they're going to, light the world on fire. They're going to be suddenly top 5 defense. But I truly think that they're competent tackling and ability to cover tight ends and zone coverage away from being competent defensively. And something I don't think they've been in recent past. Obviously Bynum and Ward shore up the secondary a lot more. I really kind of like their secondary, to be honest with you. I think it's pretty balanced all the way around. And
Ward and
Bynum.
Ward and Moore are both playmakers.
Oh yeah, for sure. Kenny Moore he's a good slot. He's a really good slot. I like Jalen Jones over on the other side. You hope that Juju Brents can figure it out. Unfortunately, he might just be the odd man out with this team, the way it's kind of designed. And I hate to say that injuries caused it, but availability is the best ability, and he hadn't been on the field. I just think that linebacker is where it has to go. I can't stand to watch this team get just completely belittled by tight ends. We saw Jonnu Smith's breakout game last year that put him on the tear he went on in Miami started against the Colts. They were awful. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but they had to be a bottom 5 team, bottom 3 team as far as yards given up to tight ends on the year defensively. So that's got to be where they go.
Well, I think they also need to invest in offensive line. They haven't done a really good job of that lately. Their line isn't super good, and it's never had super depth on it. And especially if you're banking on Richardson, you need a line. And I think they need depth at I agree with you, linebacker, but I think on defense they need to provide depth at linebacker. And offense, it's offensive line.
I think they let those guys go on the offense because they like Bortolini and Gonzalez.
I agree with that. And we said when it came out, like, they weren't paying Will Fries $88 million.
Oh, and he shouldn't have been. No,
and honestly, it was time for Kelly to go on. If anything, I think that where Ballard's been his most successful drafting is the offensive line. I mean, Bernhard Ryman's turned into a really good left tackle. You obviously got Quentin Nelson, who's a game changer at left guard, regardless of what you think.
He's not been consistent enough.
He's a B plus.
Exactly. Here's the thing. He came in with all the hype from Notre Dame, and he was great the first year. Yeah. But now it's his reputation. There's been a couple years, because I've watched him, Will. I mean, I literally there's some games, because by not being a Colts fan necessarily, I will sit there, especially when he was he was getting 100%. A lot of, everybody was saying some people overrated on Twitter, so I decided, okay, I'm going to watch a game, and I'm going to watch number 56. And I'm like, okay, I get exactly what they're talking about. And I mean, and he did say after that season, he admitted that he was not up to par, but I don't think he's still gotten back to where he was. He is not as good as the line, and I know it's different positions, the tackle that just retired from the Cowboys. Yeah. Nelson, I mean, he's got that kind of hype, but he's not that. It wasn't as good.
The good news is it seems like Braden Smith, now that he's healthy, that's a legit guy.
I think he was an excellent right tackle before. Really, outside of the past couple years, it's been on a downhill trend. And honestly,
I think he was their best lineman, except for like injuries. I liked Braden Smith.
Bernhard Ryman he's really been a really good left tackle. He's kind of flown under the radar, but you watch him.
He's improved at it, but
he's a good to elite.
I mean,
right, but I mean when he first came there, Smith was better than what?
Well, absolutely,
right, and that's where I'm going. I mean, Smith was. I thought he was their stalwart. And on that, but Ryman has done. I mean, he came in, and especially with all some of the injuries and stuff they had. But I still say offensive line. I believe you still. I know you want some depth, but you got to have depth. I mean, because you only 3. I mean, they may only put 8. No more than 8 on the active day on the day roster.
Yeah, I mean you
got to make sure that. And it's got to be guys that are versatile and can play multi positions.
Danny Penner's going to be your swing man. You're going to have a good one too. Goncalves is going to be he's your swing man tackle. I mean, if on a whim, if they need to, I mean, Nelson can go out and play left tackle if they absolutely needed him to in an emergency situation.
So who's your backup center guard? I mean,
you've got Danny Penner's he's your swingman guard center, and
he's okay.
But you guess what? You don't need great for a swingman guard. I
don't know. I mean, I guess maybe.
Come on, come on, Michelle.
Well, look, I've seen a Green Bay Packers
they need more help.
Guy come in and then usurp the guy that was injured.
Pass rush. They need at least 2 linebackers.
Yeah.
Who's going to pass rush besides Latu?
I'm saying if you're looking at offense after taking that tight end, although maybe they should try to get 2 tight ends.
Wide receiver, another one would be great.
They've already put too much. They are.
You have to hit though, and they haven't hit on except for deeper in the draft.
I wouldn't say that they haven't hit. I think they've
missed a lot.
I think that they've been these 3 receivers they have. I don't think it's on an awful receiving.
Oh, they're not in the top half of the NFL. They're not one of the top half. They're not in the top half of receiving corps in the NFL.
If they got a one receiver, they are. You're talking about we're talking below average to a 10, top 10 probably receiving core in the league. Michael Pittman's a great 2. If Michael Pittman's your 2, you're in really good shape. Josh Downs, your 3, you're in great shape.
So they would have to get a.
No, that's what I'm saying. But they're not going to do that. That's not happening.
They've had opportunities to do it apparently because some guys have been traded and they've made all kinds of sense for the Colts and they just don't seem to want to do it. So
I think that. I don't always love trading for receivers.
If you need a number 1, that's how you're getting it, unless you're taking it in the first round.
Who are you getting?
Deebo Samuel.
I don't want Deebo Samuel. He's not available. Kind of an idiot. He's not available.
What do you mean he's not?
He's injured all the time. He's a complete injury risk.
Every year before that, he was healthy.
He's on the down slope of his career. He is on the back end.
He's still
I'm not giving
the greatest rushing wide receiver of all time and 1,000-yard receiver. Going to be there were lots of options out there. They don't seem that interested, and Michael Pittman is the bottom of the number 1 receivers.
I mean, yeah, for sure, absolutely. I think Downs is a slept-on receiver. I think he's an excellent route runner. He's much better than people give him credit for. But you know
He's
what?
a slot guy. Pittman is a possession guy. Downs is a slot guy.
This is a team that I think that if you hit on your tight end, I think your tight end's your one. With the skill set that Richardson has, I think your tight end becomes kind of who you feed your offense through a little bit. I mean, I think that could be. I think part of the reason that we sit and we slander this receiving corps is because there's literally been no tight end to alleviate any of the pass catching responsibility on this team.
To me, tight end is in some ways is part of your receiving corps, especially if you throw to your tight ends. I mean, I think that's why Green Bay, everybody gets down on the receiving corps, and I'm like, well, yeah, but look at the tight ends too. I mean, and we all know you can win, and you win Super Bowls with your tight end being your stud. I mean, hello, Kansas City Chiefs. Get to the Super Bowl. Hello, San Francisco 49ers, because we talk about Samuel, but George Kittle's
he did an excellent job of proving my point there. I appreciate you doing that. I mean, my Uncle Marty is brilliant football mind. Always said tight end's a quarterback's best friend. He is the release valve, the pressure release for a quarterback. And you right there, two offenses that we just said that really operate through their tight end first, who are elite. And I think if Colston Loveland or Tyler Warren can be that, I think you're going to see this Colts offense elevate.
And that's why
itself.
The Packers could survive the injuries that they have to their wide receivers because they've had good tight ends.
Yeah.
Will, coming into tonight, the number one question was going to be Pacers or Bucks, but we're going to talk about that on another podcast coming up very soon. So my question now is Cleveland or Boston?
Boston. I think Cleveland they've been a great story. They've been great. I think that and some of the losses have been their own decision and resting players. I'm well aware of that, but I don't always love
all that.
I don't. Nah, they were 8. They 8-8 their last 16, and that wasn't just because they're resting starters. No, it's not. Come on, you're kidding yourself if you think that. I don't think they're playing their best basketball.
They had a 10-game lead.
They're not playing their best basketball right now. Coming into it, I'm taking Boston 7-game series. I think Boston gets it done in 6. I think Boston's just that good. They've coasted the whole year. Cleveland's, while they've developed depth. They have really developed and honed in on their depth, and I think that you feel pretty confident, and they're really confident in maybe the next 4 coming off the bench that they really are little to no drop off from the starting 5.
What if Porzingis isn't healthy? Does that change the formula?
No, I don't think so. I think that Tatum and Brown they're just problems, and
Donovan Mitchell's a problem.
Donovan Mitchell's
a problem. So is Darius Garland. So is Evan Mobley. So is Jarrett Allen.
I think Cleveland's going to struggle with Boston's length a little bit on the perimeter in a way that the rest of the East I don't think probably has. I think Boston. I mean, we love this. We can love this Cleveland story. Boston's the king until somebody beats them. I think that they're primed for a repeat. I think this team is just too good in the way that this NBA is. Missoula's brilliant, absolutely brilliant basketball mind. I have absolutely no question that the Celtics are. I've never felt this confident about predicting a champion. Is the Boston Celtics winning this year? Because there's no one in the West that is. I'm not sure Cleveland doesn't or Boston doesn't sweep the West, whoever it is.
I will say this. I'm never comfortable with always picking in the NBA a champion or whatever because it seems like every year there's surprises or something, and every year there's key injuries that happen during the playoffs series to change it. I will agree with you on this, Will. Boston, they are the defending NBA champions. They are the team to beat because they're healthy. And they've got their guys, and I watched them, and when being healthy, they are pretty good. Now, I don't know where they could be hurt. Is you hope that they don't have a series of poor shooting. Because then that can happen. Even some really good shooters, because I do think that helps a lot of what really makes them so difficult to guard, because they are so, I adept. They bring you out, creates driving lanes. Well, if they would have a series where they didn't shoot well, and I've seen that happen to teams, then they could be hurt a little bit. If teams don't feel pressured to have to come out, it kind of narrows it down. But I do agree. Boston is the team to beat. I don't know that they'll sweep the West. The West may not have a clear-cut favorite, but the West, somebody may just get really hot in the West, and put together a series and then come in really hot. And so, I don't know. My biggest thing and I know we'll talk about this more, is I hate it. The NBA is the softest league out there because the Pacers in their regular season on a Sunday and don't play till Saturday. Come on, bunch of soft people.
Well, you got the play-in tournament they got to get figured out.
Well, yeah, but that, and then you go and all these days, some of these days of rest, you might go 4 days between a game and some of it.
Yeah,
it's a soft league. It's them spreading out their playoffs, and it's those kind of things is one of the reasons the NBA ratings are continuing to just decrease every year.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that Boston. We talk about Cleveland's defensive prowess, which they're an excellent defensive team. I think Boston can match them. I think Tatum he might be the best defensive star right now in the league as far as his ability to kind of get out and get after it. I think that Drew Holiday, I don't know if Donovan Mitchell or Darius Garland really want Drew Holiday running around with them, for 7 games. That's not fun. Derek White's an excellent role player. Peyton Pritchard is also just an incredible. He is the more skilled version of T.J. McConnell. He's like T.J. McConnell, kind of 2.0 is how I would like to describe. Yeah, just a better shooter. If Porzingis is healthy, there's just, and I know that's a big if. I'm aware of that, but you just can't sit here and tell me if he's healthy that
it's a 7-foot if.
They kind of took care of business last year.
You trust Al Horford against Jared Allen and Evan Mobley?
I mean, no, I wouldn't say that I love him, but if you're able to take away, if you're able to cause Mitchell to get 5 less than his average, you're able to get Darius Garland to get 5 less than his average, then you can afford to let Jared Allen have his 30. If you're holding everyone else, if that's Boston's only
I'm thinking
weakness,
more rebounding.
Rebounding is in the NBA level especially is, I don't know if it has as big of an impact with the space because
it's different in the playoffs.
It's different. But
it is different because one thing we all know, everybody shortens their bench come playoffs. Well, I mean, they really do. Because and part of it is
Boston right now,
right? And part of that is because of all the days they have between games, they can do that. Again, soft league. I mean, I'm sorry. I sit there and think that NHL is still playing their regular.
Well, hey, you want to talk about a bunch of dogs? I mean, NFL or the NHL that's just a whole other conversation. But yeah, I just would like to recap Boston. I feel real confident. Cleveland's been a great story, but I like winners. And Cleveland to me is not, until you beat the man, you can't beat the man. And Boston.
How many wins did Boston have this year?
That's awesome. I mean,
how many does Cleveland have?
Boston.
I know what you're saying. I'm just
Boston. Missoula couldn't give 2 less shits about how many that they have less wins than Cleveland does. Missoula's not even.
I bet they'd like home court advantage.
I don't think they're scared to go into Quicken Loans.
Of course, they're not scared.
They're not. I mean,
they're probably not, but it is nice to have home court.
I mean,
because here's the thing with Cleveland being the upstart. Say it goes to a game 7. I mean, Quicken. It's kind of nice to have that.
Yeah.
Energy.
What I'm gonna say is, as I saw what Boston did coming in to Gainbridge, which I would say come playoff time is a better atmosphere than Cleveland. Come playoff time. They completely took the wind out of that series. Game 1, because they came in there, they stunned them, and there was no hope. And I think that Boston, they're going to go and they're going to get them game 1, and they're just going to take the series right there.
And again, more of that coming up later. I think Friday is when I have our Bucks Pacers preview and our NBA playoff predictions. We'll be doing that coming up on Friday. Well, question number 3. And we have it on the television right now. Who is the more likely division champion, the Chicago Cubs or the Cincinnati Reds?
God, I'm I mean, that's like asking, who. That's the race to 88 wins. Who's getting swept first round of the playoffs. Before Steele went down with his elbow reconstruction, I would have probably said the Cubs just because that roster is a little bit more talented. I think that the issue that I see with the Reds right now is they're just so feast or famine. They just don't. They don't put
been like that for a decade.
They don't put together enough. One game they score 12 runs and it looks great, and it's like, good Lord, this Reds team is incredible. And then the next night, they're scraping 4 hits together.
Next 4 nights.
Okay, that might be, but coming into tonight, they'd won 8 of 9. So it's actually a team that, unlike, and I mean, I will say this, I'm going to say this, it's April, and if somebody knows that it's just important to hang around and not burn out arms and in your pitching and everything, it's Tito. And I've seen Reds fans on X. Oh, they lost the game. Oh, Tito should be fired. I mean, why? Because of the bullpen and everything. And I'm sitting there going, okay, David Bell.
Bullpen's been fantastic.
I was like, David Bell is the one who he treated games in. His biggest downfall was he would treat games in April, May like they were August and September, and then he had no arm. I mean, the bullpens, the arms were fried come that late. I don't know. I mean, I'm a Reds fan, and I'm not going to apologize. I'll apologize for probably bias. I think it's going to be the Reds, and I think if they can figure out, if Hunter Green, Lodolo stay healthy, because Lodolo's only going to get better as the weather warms up, because his strength is pitching of his pitches, you are better in warmer weather.
He also needs to stay healthy, which has been
I know, that's what I said. If Green stays healthy, if Lodolo stays healthy, if Abbott coming back and he stays healthy. Yeah. I mean, you've got 3, and that move to put Ashcraft down into the pen, oh my gosh, he's he's a nice addition down there, and Diaz struggled.
Santillan's been great.
Yes.
And
Santy as a setup, and Pagan has been really good as the closer. And this makes Diaz, as you get him back, well, maybe now the Reds will have somebody they can trade to bring in something that they're going to need. And hope the biggest issue with the Reds is, one, will the owners and will Nick Kroll do what they need to do if they're in the hunt at the end? And I mean, that's the key. And even if it's just for years, but I like the Reds. Where they are right now, I'm not
pitching an awful lot.
I do too. I'm not super worried. I mean, they're just now getting guys. I mean, Hayes and they're just getting guys back and to the thing, and Steer. McLean will take a little bit. And Steer got to work that shoulder in. I'm not worried so much about them right now. We'll see how the health is of their starting pitchers in a month to 2 months, like around June, and see if they're staying healthy, because I do like it. And I will say this, I think right now, and I think he was from the end of last season through now, don't try to find me a better pitcher in the major leagues than Hunter Green.
I could find a couple, but
who's put together the last part of it? No, he was pitching better than Skeens at the end of last year. He could have almost been a Cy Young Award winner himself, and if he continues what he's doing,
innings. He didn't throw enough innings. He threw 160 innings,
and he wasn't
because he
started
off
the year.
I'm going to go. I'm going to play devil's advocate. I'm going to say Cubs. I'm going to say Cubs for a couple reasons. I've got more faith that they will go buy at the market, and they will go give up what they need to give up to be a playoff team come trade deadline.
Well, then you have a lot more faith in a lot of Cubbies fans that I know, because that's what they think. They're skeptic. They don't like their management right now.
They have
their upper management.
They have the best hitter in the division with Kyle Tucker.
You choose to know Cubs fans?
I mean,
I do. Hey, you know what? And I will say this: my stepfather was a was a diehard.
Both of my
Cubs fan.
grandmothers watch the Cubs every day, and I still can't stand them.
I mean,
I don't like them,
here's
but
what I'm
I
gonna
mean,
say.
I don't like them.
The NL Central, they haven't played anybody. They've all been playing AL teams up to this point. They've not played, so you've not gotten into the division games, which in this division are going. Whoever comes out with the best record in the division will win the division.
I will say this: the Reds got to the right start because they swept the Pirates, and this has been my biggest thing about.
They needed to do that.
Well, and this has been my biggest disappointment with the Reds in the last recent years, is the Pirates have been at the bottom of the division, and the Reds had struggled to beat them. So when they swept the first series against the Pirates this year, that is good news for me because if
It's
you
like
look
the
the last
Pirates
few
are like,
years,
oh, good, the Reds.
well, yeah, I mean, yeah, it was like the Pirates were like your that nemesis, that just
good,
a
it's the Reds.
Achilles thing. So
freaking Cincinnati love fest over here. I don't even know what to think about it.
No,
what?
I'm saying the Pirates were saying, oh, good, it's the Reds. That's the only
what
team
I'm
we
going to
can
say
beat.
is you've heard me talk about Tito. I respect him as much as anybody, but Craig Counsell and Pat Williams still in division managing. Those are two both really good managers. I don't know. I mean, Tito, based on track record, is the best manager of the bunch in this division so far. But I mean, you're talking about those are two guys that have won. Pat Williams in his first year managing won. NL Manager of the Year, and Craig Counsell's won a couple of those too.
how many World Series rings do they have?
Come on, I mean,
how many World Series rings do they have?
Tito won it in
1944.
what was that?
Yeah.
Hell, was Ted Williams still hitting
was
for the
Ted
Red
Williams.
Sox the last time he won a
you're
World
right.
Series?
He develops young talent.
Cardinals are lingering. That's Eric. Cardinals are lingering.
Dustin Pedroia and Kevin Youkilis is the one that's got to start. Played minor league at Evansville, first base for the Red Sox. He took some of those young hitters, and I just like it because, I can see some really nice development. I can still see they're making mistakes. Ellie got picked off tonight. He should have never done it. But I know Tito is not going to he's going to get on him because he has. We talked about that. And I think he's got a little bit more control over when they run and don't run because I think he doesn't like the base running errors that this young group has made in the past. I don't know. I'm just glad I'm not a Cardinals fan.
You know what? Here's what I'm going to say. This is it was a this or that, but my name's on this segment. St. Louis Cardinals winning the division. Book it. Bookmark it.
Not as long as Marmol's the manager. Sorry.
They're playing awful good. That's an awful good offense.
No. Marmol will just...
Notice I didn't ask the question who was going to win the NL Central.
Yeah, I know you did.
And we will ask that from time to time, of course, on this.
I flipped it.
I was just because we are the Central Indiana Sports
Absolutely.
Report, wanted to know which fan base should expect more.
Yeah, I mean, hey, not to get political, but I've seen a couple maps. Indiana and Illinois might be swapping, and all of a sudden, St. Louis is Central Indiana going to be. So, I wouldn't mind. Indiana gets a Riverport. We get
Let's do it. Question number 4, Will. Alex Palou or the field?
Palou. It's him. I mean,
Moving on to question 5.
I mean, we can sit and talk about it a little bit, and,
Kyle Kirkwood doesn't make you think
No.
contender now?
No.
Not concerned about Pato or Newgarden?
I'm
It's
a little
all about
concerned.
Palou?
Joseph's kind of dug himself a little hole here early. I know
So
we're only 3 races in, but
We got double points races coming
he's
up.
not.
It's too early.
He's not looking great.
It's too early to be talking
I
that.
I think Palou might sweep Indianapolis. He's just so much better.
He's Indy away from being a legend.
He's so good. I'm taking him. I'm not even gonna bother acting like I think anyone else is gonna win it. I've said it since you asked this question in early February. It's him, and I hope somebody's warming up second place because that's they're gonna love it.
I really thought this was Pato's year, but I think it might be Palou.
Just for the series, right?
Yeah.
All right, I'll take Palou for the series. I'll take the field for the 500.
Oh, sure.
I mean, we're betting against your 1 to 33 odds. Yeah, I'd like 32 over 33, but I think Palou will sweep it. I really do. I just think that he's playing that well. Not playing. He's driving that well right now, and he I think that he's learning Indy. Every year he's constantly putting together better finishes. I just think this is his year. I think Palou will challenge him. I think that Pado's really done a great job at Indy the last 3 years.
That's
I
who I
expect that
think's
to
winning
continue.
Indy.
I think what makes Indy special is because, yes, you can have your favorite drivers, but we've also seen guys come in and win or do well that maybe that is their highlight. I think because Indy is so special and it's wanted so much, even kind of like the Daytona 500. I mean, my gosh, look how long it, took Dale Earnhardt to win. I mean, there were years he was by far, and I think Indy is that, and so that's why Palou probably could win it. He's talented enough. If he does, will I be surprised? No, but I would take the field just because Indy means more overall, just emotionally and everything. Yeah. So I think that's what makes it, and truthfully, it's what makes it the granddaddy of IndyCar racing.
The entire series combined.
I will say this. I mean, over the last 10 years, it's not really been surprises. Every year, it's kind of been, hey, this guy's in the 5 that we think we can win. I mean, you're talking about, you've got Pagenaud that won, you got Rossi, you've got Takuma Sato that's won a couple times, Will Powers won. Marcus Ericsson, Joseph Newgarden. I mean, for the most part, all of those guys are the upper elite echelon of the field. I would say probably outside of Rossi, you would say that those are the upper echelon of drivers. I mean, I wouldn't put it past Newgarden to three-peat. I think that he is also that talented. And once you've tackled Indy, I think it makes that second time easier because I think it just takes the pressure off where I can drive free.
Don't you think Scott Dixon has one more challenge in him?
God, he's raced so well there. He's such a great oval driver. Yes, I do think so, but I just think this new guard is just that much better.
It's different.
I just think it's that much better. I've said it since we started bringing IndyCar up. It's the most skilled field of drivers of any series and racing circuit in the entire world. I put them up anywhere. You throw them in sprint cars, they're the best sprint car drivers. You go throw them over in Formula One in Europe, don't even get me started on Formula One. Just an absolute joke of a racing circuit. My Aunt Bev, God love you, she's been one of the most diehard F1 fans. I can't get behind it. I fall asleep watching those races. It just doesn't mean anything to me.
All you have to do is watch the first turn.
Yep, watch first turn. Hey, that's who's
or
winning.
Qualifying.
Yeah, I mean,
that's it.
If you're not the 3 favorites, you're not winning. Good luck. I don't even know why American teams bother sending anyone over there.
All right, well, question number 5. The Indiana Fever or the field?
Hell, give me the Fever. Give me the Fever. Why not? Come on, why not? I mean, I know she's going to disagree with me, but I think that last year was nothing but learning experience for them. They completely turned it on. They actually have competent coaching now, and I think Caitlin Clark's. I think she's figured the league out. I just think she's going to come in and be so good, so good. I wouldn't be shocked if the field.
I added this question when I knew Michelle was going to be here.
I would say the field has a better shot than anybody does against like Boston per se, but yeah, give me the Fever.
Well, I will say this: the most valuable asset on the Indiana Fever is head coach Stephanie White. All right, bar none.
That's why we're taking
because if Caitlin Clark is going to do one of two things, she's going to play defense or she's going to have less time on the court, and then she's going to make her become a defensive player, and she's going to also make her really work on that mid-range jump shot. Those are Caitlin Clark's 2 biggest issues. It's one of the reasons everybody can laugh or disagree, but her inability, her defensive liability is one of the reasons she was left off the Olympic team, because she couldn't have played. Because if you watch the guards that they played, and I did, Jackie Young can guard a post in the post. Caitlin Clark can't. I mean, they could switch. Cheryl Reeve likes to switch all screens, and you can do that. They took players, because some of the players that didn't play very many minutes, they weren't good at that. They couldn't switch all screens. And that's kind of the defense she wants to play. Caitlin
Clark. The Central Indiana Sports Report loves you, Caitlin.
I'm not saying. I'm just saying, but she's not a.
We know.
I mean, her
we know how you think about her.
Yeah, but that was her weakness is defense
and shot selection.
Yeah, and she's a little bit of basketball IQ. She doesn't even. Sometimes she doesn't know proper time, proper shot. But this is why I said Stephanie White is the biggest asset. Stephanie White is the biggest asset to bring into her because if Caitlin, she can take what Caitlin has. Because I will say this, Caitlin Clark is the best full court passer, not the best half court passer in a half court offense. She is really good transition. Right, Stephanie White. That's what I'm saying. She needed a coach that can get her there. And they've put veterans. Now, here's the other thing. I hope Caitlin can handle when she comes out because I don't see her playing 37 to 40 minutes or whatever the game, 40 minutes a game like sometimes she did last year because what the Fever did is they went out and depth. They made truthfully with what they did, and you can tell they went all in for this year because they've provided depth, talented depth to where even Boston, those guys they're not going to be fatigued come down towards the end. And so now, the Fever, kudos because the new management, management team, front office team went out, they got the players. They went out and they got the coaches to make it happen because Stephanie White is good. And make no mistake, if you watched Connecticut Sun, they weren't a great offensive team, but they were physical in defense. So that's why that's a good hire for Caitlin. I'm anxious to see because I'm happy for her that she actually, because I thought she needed it to take a break from basketball. And she did. And she has not done, outside of workouts, she's not played, any of those leagues. So I'm anxious to see how she comes in and everything because, I think it's the best thing. So, and if she's listened and then she is coachable because Stephanie White's going to push her more than anybody. Lisa Bluter, nice lady, but she let Caitlin run the show. Stephanie White's not letting Caitlin run the show. It's going to be Stephanie White's team. There are going to be things you have to do because let's face it, you have to. If you don't, all you have to even do is just look around. If your head coach isn't running the show, you might win something in, a year or here, but it's not going to be good. And I think the NBA, oh my gosh, Phoenix Suns want to know why they can't do anything. They let all the monkeys in there on their team run the show. What they're still paying 4 head coaches? Aren't they the team that right now is paying? And the guy they just got rid of, they'll have to pay him $10 million for the next 10 years, and he's not even coaching. Yeah. So if you let the players run the show, it doesn't usually turn out well. If you let, the coaches, and I think that's why. So, I will say this. Going into the season, I think the Fever are the team to beat because they built their team.
Whoa!
They built they built depth. They really did, and they brought in players that, I look at it this way: they brought in some players if they need to go defense, offense, like in a situation with Caitlin, like they want her on the offense, but she's strung.
We love her,
Aaliyah Boston. I do. I really. And they brought her in some help.
She's kind of the forgotten star now, but she's just as important.
She is, and I'll tell you what. As far as really my daughter, if I would want her to be have a true role model out there on the Fever, if I lived in Indiana, it's going to be Aaliyah Boston. Sportsmanship, class, no mouth, her language. Caitlin Clark forgets sometimes. Yeah, you want to be that a little bit. Your behavior is not one that you should ever want an 8, 9, or 10-year-old child to emulate. I'm sorry. That's LeBron James. I'm sorry. My son would never. If I had a son or whatever, you emulate LeBron James. Yeah, you emulate LeBron James on the court, you might not be playing basketball for a year. Mm-hmm. It's just. But that's it. Now, but the field, it's kind of hard to beat because New York is still going to be good.
I was exaggerating.
Minnesota is still going to be good.
Nope. I'm digging my boots in the ground.
In.
I'm taking the Fever.
Last word.
Just I love the way Caitlin Clark behaves. I love it. I love winners. I love showboating. I love her being cocky. I love her stunting around the court.
That's not good role model for young athletes.
I don't care. I don't care one bit. I don't have a kid. I don't need a good role model.
You are going to have a kid someday.
I love a winner.
Maybe.
I'm going to point and say, hey, that's a winner. You don't.
Well, you know what? I can point at Leah Boston and say a winner too, because she's got something Caitlin Clark doesn't have.
She's great.
She's got a ring.
I'm not saying that Aaliyah Boston isn't awesome. I'm not saying that she isn't the one that you want your child to look after and be a role model for. What I'm saying is I like Caitlin Clark as a dog. I love it. I love that the star.
I love that she's competitive.
I adore it, because I think that there's this thing now where you got to be a star and you got to be humble all the time, and you got to be this.
Well, no, you don't have to. You can still have. I'll tell you what. It's lost in everybody, and I get tired of it. But I would take her, and I'm glad. I know why he recruited her, and she didn't have to win Player of the Year because she didn't have to. She was but she's a big reason UConn won a national championship this year. Paige Beckers, and she is because she can play defense. She can guard 1 through 4. She can play 1 through 4 on both ends of the floor. 1 through 4 on both ends of the floor. She's got a mid-range game and everything. So, granted, and when people watch, you didn't recruit Caitlin Clark, like, well, he recruited what he wanted, because at UConn you have to play defense. Mm-hmm. And Caitlin did. I mean, Caitlin went great fit for her. She didn't have to play defense.
She's gonna have put some muscle on. She's gonna be stronger. Her size and length, she is going to be able to guard the 4. Give her time defensively, because her offensive game, she's the most gifted offensive player in the league as far
transition offense. She still needs stuff in her half court.